A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth and moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Mandi, a Canadian indie folk country rock singer-songwriter who's literally living her music right now, traveling from Vancouver to Toronto in an RV with her partner and dog. Her debut album, Emotional Highs, is a deeply heartfelt healing experience helping her deal with grief and trauma and the human experience on her journey with process therapy and shadow work, which is transforming pain into music. Her original song, Doing What I Can, placed third in Canada at the KWC, and mid-tour, she's starting to reach more and more people through radio stations, CKXU 88.3 FM, and CJOC 94.1. So that's very, very cool. Yeah, thank you so much, Mandi, for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. I think it's so wonderful to have people who are spreading and expanding their soul through art. And my whole podcast, the journey of remembering our soul, is such a transformational process because so often we experience momentous things, and that includes trauma as well. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and tell us a little bit about what is your favorite thing about music. And actually today is a National Day of Rock and Roll, so how cool is that? Like, celebrating the art of music is so special, and it's such a kind of healing and unifying thing for all of us. So yeah, please tell us a little bit about your journey, and yeah, what music did you love growing up?
Okay, well, I mean, the my musical influences as a kid, I don't see showing up in what I'm writing, but I still am so incredibly inspired by artists like Stevie Nicks in particular, but Fleetwood Mac, and I was a big country bumpkin, so I listened to a lot of like Diamond Rio and Garth Brooks and Travis Tritt, and my mom would blast Dwight Yoakam, and I was really into like Bob Marley and Pink Floyd when I was in my teenage years, which of course I don't make reggae and I don't do any of that, but vocally like Pat Benatar, Susan Tedeschi, Bonnie Raitt, Joan Jett, Janis Joplin, like all the female greats. I love all of them. They all have their place, and they've definitely like inspired me just for being authentically themselves and having their own unique sound, which I think is what inspires me about them. But I've been singing my whole life. I started in 2018. I started to write my own music. I started a an alt rock original band, and my guitar player would write chord progressions, and then he'd send them to me, and I would write lyrics on top of that. And that was my first experience in recognizing that I had things that I had been through, like a really toxic relationship I was in, and had things I wanted to work through and things I wanted to say to him, and I was able to write it in the song and then and come back to it and have it have its place but not be inside me still. So it wasn't like this, not hatred, but this like negativity around this bad relationship that I held on to. I had somewhere to go, but it's still part of me in my journey. So I was able to still honor my experience going through those bad things. And a
Amazing.
theme and someone that kept showing up in my music is I lost someone very close to me. He took his own life. And he was very, very close to me. He was my a really good friend. He was an on and off lover. He was my landlord. And I was the last person that saw him, the last person that he messaged. And if I was to pick a point in my life that was the most pivotal, the most changing, it would be his loss, because I'd never lost anyone before, like someone that I was so close to, and to lose him in such a tragic way. It's been an ongoing kind of theme in my music. And as I've written songs about him and started sharing songs about him, when I started writing music on guitar in 2020, I started to recognize and see that people were responding to what I was saying. They may not have lost someone the same way, but it's still about this like incredible loss and this hole and this empty space and this thing that I can connect with people through music. And while they hear it through their own lens, they're still able to, get something out of it and connect with me in some way. So since I started picking up the guitar and writing in 2020, it's definitely been, yeah, like very fulfilling. And I've been able to meet really cool people and hear really interesting stories about different people in their lives and what they've been through, and have a kind of dialogue about some of the more stigmatic topics. Like not everyone likes to talk about suicide or how they've been touched by it in some way, but I've found it very surprising how many people have actually have experienced it in some way on both sides, both surviving it and also going through those thoughts and having those feelings as well. So I like music as a way to kind of subtly and gently connect with people over like trauma and grief and stuff that we've been through.
Wow,
So
so beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's so true. Even when people don't even know like what to say or how to express themselves, music helps so much. And there's like a music for every mood. And I think it's so true in terms of even writing and hearing and listening to words. They have their own frequencies and they have their own way of every time you even create lyrics, you're like channeling different things. I write poetry and every time I write, I feel like I'm channeling like whatever mood I'm in. It just comes to me, and I'm like, wow, this is like exactly how I feel, and I'm so like grateful that I can somehow put a thought into like onto a page. So I like, what is your writing process? It's such an interesting journey to write music.
Well, I was actually in a car accident at the end of 2013, so I actually have certain chords and like fingerings on the guitar that I can't play. So my particular style of writing is I sit down with the guitar. I usually pick a number between 1 and 9, and I use that capo, which helps you kind of adjust which key that you're in and still play the same chords. And then I'll just start strumming. I'll find like a chord or I'll hear it and I'm like, oh, that kind of hits something in me. And then I'll be like, well, where is it going? Or what do I feel next? And I'll just start like coming up with different combos of chords that kind of match like what I feel from that first little spark, I guess. And then yeah, like a strumming pattern will start to come out, and then I'll maybe sometimes have a word or even just a vowel or something or an idea or a memory pop up, and that's like, oh, this is what the song is about. Is I'm remembering this person or remembering this experience, and then the song kind of blossoms from there. And sometimes it comes out in like 5 minutes. I've written some where it's just like channeling, where it's like, wow, I had something to say. But then I have a song that's going to be on my next record that I literally started in September of last year and I just finished 2 weeks ago. I was stuck. I was like, there's something about this song I don't quite know what it's about. And I know, like, I kept getting stuck on this called I Ain't Running Away. And I just moved from BC to Toronto, like across the country. So even when those words came to me, it's like, oh, it's about this like kind of journey and what I've decided to do and like dive into just my own passions and bet on myself and make this crazy decision to uproot my life and move somewhere else and really really kind of pursue music full time. So it's interesting how some are just they flow, and sometimes it's just it needs time to like brew.
That is so true. Yeah, exactly. I do astrology and full moon healing circles, and every time there's like a full moon, people get like cramped up or they feel like they can't express themselves. They feel stuck. I'm like, just wait until after the full moon. You'll feel really good. And like especially towards the new moon, we have these like rituals where I do like dance parties and that's like the potent energy. So it's like, yeah, it's so true. Like you have these like portals, like for example, today's a portal. Today's 7/7. Like there's another portal, like astrologically or numerologically. So it's like there are all these portals, and if you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner, adult, ballet, and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. I think it helps us to kind of balance ourselves out in a way when we can create versus like, okay, we have to like chill and process what's happening emotionally, mentally, which also helps us because if we would be constantly channeling, how would we like integrate and like rebalance?
Yeah, exactly.
And what is your favorite? Do you have any favorite lyrics for like the season or for your new song?
I love that you put that question in. I was thinking about some of my favorite lyrics that I've written, and there's the song that you mentioned, the "Doing What I Can." It's just me reflecting on like my journey, how I started off. I lost a bunch of people at the beginning of 2020 or at the end of 2020, which is what inspired me to start this health journey, which turned into being not more just physical health. It was emotional health, sexual health, mental health. It was all encompassing. That's why I started to learn guitar. And I started to do shadow work and recognizing what shadow work is and all these patterns and all these like doubts that I had in my head, this lack of self worth. I didn't even know what boundaries were and how to set them. So doing what I can is really reflective of the journey of that I've been on since then. Of just finally figured out how I got in my own way and then figuring out why everything felt so wrong. And then now I figured out what it means to be okay. And that's kind of the arc of the song. And I have my favorite words in it are, oh my God, I should know my own words. I need to sing it almost in my head. Pushing dreams aside just to learn to survive what I'm going through. The only
Mm,
control in your life you'll find is your attitude. And
beautiful.
I love those words because I think that's it. Like we have all this stuff happen to us. We go through things. Sometimes it's someone doing something to us. Sometimes it's just an accident, like a car accident. But the only consistent thing, the only thing you can really do about it is how you choose to receive that experience and how you choose to learn from it and grow from it. So I love your attitude.
Yeah, yeah. That's so beautifully stated. Yeah, so true. I think that's what so many people who are on the spiritual journey, they're either embracing this or teaching this. It's all about like being present, having gratitude, and taking accountability where you can. And like you mentioned about boundaries, yes, it's so true. It's so hard to even understand, like, oh my gosh, I have to have boundaries or I don't have boundaries. Because like when we grow up and our like empath vibes, we just want to be open and friendly and have fun. And I think when people have a clear conscience, they want to attract this kind of lifestyle. But we have to kind of like interact with people who are not always the mirror reflection of us. And this kind of requires us, in order to evolve and become more confident beings and stable beings, we do have to have boundaries. So it is beautiful, that transformational journey for
Hmm.
people who are like, oh, wow, okay, boundaries are a new thing and it's
Yeah.
going to help me. So it's like, it's such a daily thing. You have to kind of remind yourself, which is really cool.
I wasn't taught. My mom doesn't know what boundaries were, so it's like I think it's a new thing in like the human nature is to recognize boundaries and know how to set them and how to maintain them and to not expect other people to maintain your boundaries for you. Like our boundaries are our own. And if someone's constantly disrespecting it, then it's your and you keep going back to them, then you're not respecting your own boundaries, sort of thing. So it's the onus is on us to set and protect our own boundaries. And I think there's like yeah, it's a new thing. It's a new concept, I think, in the last like generation or two of humans, which is something I was never taught. So I'm like, what? What's this boundaries? Went from being like a very angry kid because I had unmet needs and lack of self worth and unset boundaries, to going way to the other side where I was continuously people pleasing and overextending myself and giving time and energy to people that just would not give it back to me. And I had to really find out where the middle ground was and all of that.
That's amazing. Yeah, it is very true. The art of like having boundaries also helps you on your journey, on your dreams, because you're giving yourself that permission to kind of go beyond the limitations or the expectations from other people that's so often projected onto us, and we project also to other people knowingly or unknowingly. It's like we are also on this journey. And yeah, I think the art of boundaries is a beautiful thing, and once we learn them, it really helps us kind of catapult us to our purpose, which is very cool. And you just finished your cross Canada tour.
Hmm.
Wow, congratulations. That's amazing. Talk to us a little bit about that, and what was your favorite part of it? What did it feel like performing? Tell us all the things.
So I don't have a manager. I did it. I
Oh,
planned it
wow.
all myself. I was working full time in film and planning this cross Canada tour and planning a big moving away party. Like, it's wild what I somehow managed to pull
Wow.
off. But
Amazing.
yeah, when I decided to move from BC to Toronto, my producer moved out here last summer, and I knew I was going to want to do another record with him. But I started thinking about just my experience in the Vancouver scene, and it's just there's not enough people, not enough places to play there to really take it to kind of the next level. So I decided, well, rather than go to Toronto and record and pay for a place in Vancouver, I'm just going to sell all of my stuff. I rented a camper. Me and my lovely partner Diego and our little Pamapu puppy, we sold things, shipped my car, and we did 18 stops between Vancouver and Toronto, mostly in Alberta. We were in Alberta for like 3 weeks. We went all over that province, spirits, every single type of weather. Oh, it was wild. Um, I met some just really amazing, cool people and saw parts of the country I'd never seen before. I'd never been in Manitoba before. It's my first time. Well, I've been in Ontario, but like when I was in my early 20s and in the winter, and I was here to work. So I was kind of here. I'd land, I'd go to the trade show and leave. I didn't really get to experience it. Um, but there's a couple really like the gigs all had their own things, but there's one that stands out the most because it was the only gig in the entire tour where I hired local artists or local musicians to come and play with me, and that was in Calgary. So I had another guitar player, and a bass player. I got into Calgary early. We did a couple rehearsals, and it was at Cold Garden Brewery, which is a really freaking cool brewery. Like the decor and the vibe in there was just it was so much fun. And they do music there once a month. And I was their featured artist for that once a month music. And I just really felt
Amazing.
like that experience, like we were all in that together. Like we were all, people were singing along, they had their lighters out. There's this one guy that he just feel it, he'd get up and start dancing, and then he'd tell you like, oh, I'm the only one dancing. He'd sit down. Like it was such a vibe. I had so much fun. I mean, I loved every stop that I went on, but that one was really special for me. I tested out the new music. Like I'm here in Toronto. I'm on day 2 of starting to record new music right now,
Wow.
and I tested out some of the songs that I'm recording. It was really cool to see my original music that I've been working on since the first record, like people responding to and tapping their feet to and connecting with. And it was just a very addicting experience. I cannot wait to go back out on the road. That won't be the first time I cross Canada. I cannot wait to do it again with my next record. So,
Wow, that's so beautiful.
thanks.
That is so cool. I think the idea of like road tripping also is so fun, but on top of it, it's like probably so much in a way pressure on yourself as well, because like you want to do all these good shows, and it's like I know so many people who also like started this van lifestyle, and it's like the spiritual vibe. It's like minimalism, clearing everything out, or starting fresh. There is some kind of like energy in that. It feels so freeing because I know like people just hold on to emotions, hold on to things which represent emotions. But it's like when we're able to release things, it's so beautiful, and then it's like a new pathway opens up. So I think that's also very like reminiscent of just the journey everybody craves to go on, whether it is like physically or even like emotionally. And people have to kind of get over that fear. Did you have any fears like before you did this whole complete, change in your life?
Well, I mean, my friends, my family, they're all in BC,
Yeah.
and and still now, I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna see them again.
Yeah.
I know that I will, but it's just the when. I'm
Hmm.
not just like even when I did my tour through BC in 2024, I knew I was only a 3 to 4 hour drive away from seeing them. So I wasn't so detached, and it really didn't click for me that I wasn't going back to BC until we like returned the camper and we're living in my friend's living room, my producer's living room, on an air mattress for the first 2 weeks we were here. And I'm like, wow, like I'm here now. Like, I'm not going back. That's wild. So it's definitely like you don't know the city. I'm very grateful for Google Maps helping getting me around. Like there's a lot of like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how the people were going to be here. I imagined this concrete jungle where there wasn't a lot. I love nature. I love being out by trees and water. But as you can tell, there's even like a big tree behind me. It's a very green city, but you just don't know. You have that fear and that of that unknown, and going through the emotional experience of doing the deepest purge I ever had. I moved around my whole life, like every 3 years almost, we were moving into a new house, even though it was in the same city. And to have like 20 plus years of stuff that I've accumulated, little trinkets, little coasters, a little card, like these bins that I bought for this thing and I know use for this, like I just had to let it all go. And it was way more emotional than I was expecting. I remember sitting in my living room with at the tail end of having everything done. We're loaded into the camper and just cleaning, and I sat and I just bawled because we had so much to do still, and I had this giant pile of stuff to donate still. It's like all things. I'm like, I know I'm gonna need things like that when I get to Toronto, but there's no point in shipping it across the country or having it in the camper with us where we have limited space. So, I mean, it was emotional, yes, but coming here and not having all those things and being able to start new and kind of redesign a new space and do something different is also very rewarding. And I think everyone should go through it at least once, just to do like a great purge of your stuff and just all those little things you're hanging on to that remind you of the people and the places. And some of them is like, I don't talk to this person anymore. We didn't see eye to eye in the end. Like, why do I have this little trinket that they gave me still? But what do you do with it? So I donated, I donated a lot of things. Value Village and Salvation Army made a lot of money off me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's so freeing to be able to do that. And also, then you realize, like, oh, I have a little bit more space emotionally or mentally to
Hmm.
start something new. I think oftentimes when we're holding on to things, it's because we're also afraid to start something new. And it's like there's not enough space to go after something if you're still attached to something else. So that kind of shift is hard sometimes, but yeah, like you said, it's so rewarding and it's so beautiful. And you also sing cover songs, which is super cool.
I do.
What is your favorite cover song to sing and why?
Mm. Oof. I think I actually do a kind of country rock cover of Waterfalls by TLC.
Oh.
And I like doing that song because it I like seeing how long it takes people to figure out what song it is because I do it so differently. And then when people do click in, they're singing along, and it's a super fun one to do. And we just do a whole like breakdown, and then when we do with the band, like epic like twang guitar solo in there, which is not something you'd ever expect out of Waterfalls by TLC. So I think between that and I'm Yours by Jason Mraz, which is just another really beautiful song where we get
Classic.
people singing along the with the loves and stuff. Yeah, those are if I had those are probably my two favorites, just because people love them. They're good tunes.
Yeah, they're so fun. They're so fun to kind of dance to and just enjoy. What advice do you have for the youth, your younger self, to anybody who's really having a passion, wanting to try it out, or maybe having fears about it also?
Mm. I would say cut out the noise that's telling you not to do. If it's something you're really passionate about and it really fulfills you and you find you're able to really express yourself through it, the doubts that you're having, the people telling you not to do it, cut it all out and do it anyways. I mean, I didn't pursue music for a long time because I didn't think I'm not good enough. What if I can't do it? My family, like, you have a good job in film. Why not you just keep doing that instead? You're successful in that. But it didn't feel successful in my heart. And I didn't feel more like myself until I started making and sharing music. So if it's something you're really truly passionate about and it fulfills you, do it anyways. And it's going to be hard work. It's not easy, but anything that's worth it is not going to be easy. Everyone will be doing it. So, yeah, I know it's very, very simple, but do it despite what your brain is telling you.
Yeah, that's so simple and so beautiful because that's exactly true. I think having the fear and doing it anyway, that so often sums up our journeys. Such a beautiful story, such a beautiful voice, art, creation. Thank you so much, Mandy, for coming on the podcast and sharing
Thanks for
your journey
having
with
me.
us. Yeah, and where can people like visit your website and connect with your social media so they can learn more and maybe come to a show?
Oh, so if you go to my website, which is mandileigh.com, MANDILEIGH.com, you'll find I always put all my upcoming shows there. There's links to my Spotify, my YouTube, my iTunes, my Apple Music, anywhere you listen to music. You'll find my debut EP, which is called Emotional Highs. There's 7 songs out there right now for you to listen to. And I've got a couple gigs here lined up in Toronto. I'm playing at the Painted Lady on July 28th and at Rainhard Brewing on August 15th. So those are the kind of two I have lined up right now while I continue to focus on my next record. But yeah, anywhere you stream music. I'm also on TikTok, the Mandi Leigh on TikTok. I try and post things there too, but it's all linked on my website, mandileigh.com. You'll be able to find me there.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yay, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.